Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. My name is Markéta Fribová, and I'm talking to you on behalf of the Mortimer English Club Language School. We are based in Prague in the Czech Republic, and the title of today's panel session is International Know-how Exchange, obviously in the realm of the online teaching and learning. It's my pleasure to welcome our speakers for tonight. Welcome and thank you for attending the meeting. We have here Ms. Sarah Paschke. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, everybody.
Sarah is an experienced teacher of English and currently working in the Czech Republic too. And also she is a founder of fangličtině.cz. I guess it's a platform or a company that tries to connect English and fun. And I think that Sarah will probably tell us more later on. Hello, Sarah, thank you for coming. Then let me introduce Mr. Jakub Fischer, a language teacher too, who will be talking to you about his own experience from the primary school of Rudolf Koblice in Kadaň in Czech Republic as well.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you, and thank you for attending our meeting. And then I would like to introduce Mr. Jan Juříček. He is also a language teacher, but also a robotics teacher, and he will be talking to you from the grammar school Strossmayerovo náměstí in Prague. Hello, welcome. He's been having some technical problems, so maybe he's not connected yet, but welcome anyway. All right. Before we start and before I hand over to the first speaker, please let me just say a few words. If it was March and we were speaking to each other in March, I think the topic we might have been discussing would be actually, do we go online or not? What do we do now? Because March was here in Czech Republic, the first closure of schools, the first coronavirus crisis. So from one day to another, all the schools had to close down. And then we teachers were faced with the question, what do we do now? Do we actually really go online, or do we just stay at home, use our own emails and send the students just their assignments at home, and do we just wait until this is all over? But it's not March, it's November. We are having another closure, and I think that nowadays all the schools really realize they had to go online. This is not an issue anymore. Not only the primary schools or secondary schools, universities, that's a matter of course, but also language schools, also dance schools, art schools. My children are learning ballet dancing online or singing online. So this is our reality nowadays. So that's why we are here actually, because this situation brought a lot of new problems and new topics to discuss. And this week we have had so far several sessions. All of those were concerned with the technological issues, with the issues of motivation, with the issues of evaluation, and we've also talked about some futures for the online learning. And today, this is the platform we want to use for sharing our own experience, to sharing what works for us and what doesn't work. I would also like to welcome all the audience who might be following us and watching us either via the website or via Facebook account. We would be very happy to answer any questions you might have. You don't hesitate to use our live chat. And if you have any questions, if you want to share your views, or if you have any input whatsoever, really use the chat and we will be answering your questions during the whole discussion. Right, and now to cut it short, I'm sorry I've been talking for too long probably. I would like to hand over to Mr. Fischer and his presentation. Thank you.
Okay, great. Hello, I'll just share my desktop if that's all right with you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so all right, guys. So yeah, my name is Jacob Fisher, and I work for AV Media. I'm a teacher trainer, and I also work for 3 schools. Which is one of the schools that my colleague has mentioned, Rudolf Koblitz, which is an elementary school, where I teach students from grade 3 to grade 9. Then I work for grammar school, which is a high school where I teach high school students and teach the English conversation courses. And also because I'm a musician, I'm a trumpet player, and I specialize in Kalilin music. So I work for the music school in Klarstedt as well. I would like to share what I use. Basically, my current and my main goal is to make online learning fun for the students and also to make online teaching easy for the teachers. And that's not an easy goal, really, but there are a lot of apps, sites, really cool sites that you can use to make teaching easy for yourself and to make it fun and engaging for the students. So basically, we'll be going through Duolingo for Schools, Kahoot, liveworksheets.com site, Google Apps, and learningapps.org. So let me start with Duolingo for Schools. Basically, it's completely free. It's easy to use, and students gain experience points, and that's very motivating for the students. And so they actually, it gives them experience points for every task they fulfill. And the teacher doesn't have to do basically anything really. You just sit back and monitor your students' course progress, which is really fun. So let me show you. This is how it looks like. Basically, I've got my own classroom, and I can create another classroom for my students. So here I've got students grade 3, classes in 3A and 3B. I can monitor their progress, and I can invite other students also. And I can see the XP. I can assign new tasks. I can create an assignment, which is really fun. And the students have to fulfill basic courses, like basic topics, the topics that you teach them at school. So basically, this is a really fun and engaging site. Also, they can use this app, the mobile phone, tablet, notebook, their PC. It's really fun. Be happy to answer any questions. So let me continue. The second site is Kahoot, which is a really fun site. Kahoot is really awesome, and the students really love it, and it's engaging and fun. Students love to compete against each other, so that's why they love it. And when you assign a quiz, you can monitor your students' progress. So this is how it looks like. Basically, everything's free. You just log in and just discover finished Kahoots quizzes. So basically, if I type in, I don't know, past simple, I've got thousands of activities this topic. So if I choose one, I can play it with my students in the classroom where they'll use their own smartphones, tablets, or whatever they have, or I can assign it, which means when I assign something, I can decide if there's going to be a question timer, randomized answer orders. I recommend turning this on, so all the answers are randomly ordered. Nickname generator, and the limit, because when it's free, the only limit you have is you can use it with 100 students only. So basically, I've got the date and time when the players should complete okay, the quiz, and I'll just create it. And here I've got the link to the quiz or the game pin, or I can assign it to a class in Google Classroom or Teams, Facebook, Twitter, and I can monitor, okay, the students' progress. And also the students see, other students that are better than, that have got more points, so they, try to be better. So here I've got the challenges, and I can see, all my students, when quiz they finished something, when they've started doing it, and so I can monitor every progress. So this is a really cool site, and the students really love it. So let's continue. Then I've got learningapps.org, which I'd like to show you. It's a great site where you easily create small, fun learning apps and games for your students. Okay, so let me show you. Learning apps is in English and Czech, Spanish, and all kinds of other German. So basically, you can create small, engaging apps for your students, so that for self-learning purposes. Okay, so matching pairs, group assignment, number line. If you're a history teacher, simple order, free text input exercises, matching pairs, multiple choice quiz, closed text. Also, you can play the millionaire game. So everyone wants to be a millionaire. So basically, you can design your own millionaire game for your students. Okay, and basically you've got all kinds of other, horse race, guess the word grid, pairing game. You can make all kinds of games, a crossword, group puzzle. Okay, so if I browse the apps, you can decide like which level your students are, elementary level or primary level or secondary education, vocational and further education, high school level, and you've got all kinds of subjects. So English as a foreign language. Okay, you've got German as a foreign language, or German as a second language. So if I decide click on English as a foreign language, you can browse through all kinds of finished apps. And so countable and uncountable nouns. If I open this, okay, this app, okay, you decide which one's countable and uncountable. And also it helps you because it's a self-learning app and for your students. So it shows the student if the student's answer is correct or incorrect. And you can share it with your students. So you've got the web link below, okay? And the full screen link, the difference between the web link and the full screen link, it just opens the app in full screen. So if you send the web link, the student sees what you're seeing now. If I send the web link, basically it opens up like this. So basically the student sees the whole, it's bigger. So this is a really cool site that you can use to, practice something with your students. And also, you can, there's French, Italian, music, mathematics, religion, Russian, biology, and so on and so on. So this site is really, really good. So let me continue. Live Worksheets is also a really cool site. So Live Worksheets looks like this. It's also free. You just have to log in. Okay, register and log in. And basically, Live Worksheets allows you to transform your traditional printable worksheets, okay, so format, document format, PDF, JPEG, picture, into interactive online exercises, okay, with self-correction, which really helps me, okay, so I don't have to correct anything. And so basically, you can decide, you can just find your subject, okay, so English, in this case, okay, here we can practice verb to be. And what the student does is that, it types in the correct answers and then just clicks on finish and check my answers. So it checks the answers, or email my answers to my teacher. So basically the teacher sees the student's progress and knows, okay, the problems that the student had with this handout. So this is a really cool site. So you can download from a worksheet, a handout from any site, or just scan, okay, your own handout, and transform your worksheet into an interactive worksheet, which is really cool. Also, link to this worksheet. So basically, there's a link that you can send to your students. You can add it to Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, add it to your favorites. You can add it to your workbook. You can also make your own workbook, okay, with all your fun worksheets. So this is a really cool site, and it's free also. Basically, all the sites I'm showing you are free. And the last thing I want to show you, Google Apps. Google Apps are really awesome because, basically you can work with your students. Google Docs, Sheets, Slides are really great because they're similar to Microsoft Office, and students can work in groups and use the same document at once, which is really good. This means the teacher you can assign a group project, an essay, a presentation, okay, and the students work at their own pace. So basically, one student decides to, do something, work on the document. So basically, he can work in like 1 o'clock in the morning, and the other student can start working on the document like in the morning or at night. And they all see what each student has changed. So teacher can monitor their progress and suggest improvements, which is very nice. So basically, this is a really nice poem to learn to your students. Basically, you can, communicate with your students. You can suggest improvements, okay? So okay, and the student comes and, types in something, so you can chat with your students. Also, you can, as I said, monitor their progress, or you can, show them something else, or change something. So this is really good. And Google Forms is another app which lets you create tests. Okay, so basically, in that self-evaluation as well. So basically, it corrects itself as well. So that's all. I use all of these, and my students love it because the goal is, digital game-based learning is how to approach online teaching and online learning. So basically, that's how I approach it. So that's all. Do you guys have any questions? Feel free to ask.
I just have a quick one, if I can.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Because I'm familiar with the others, and I have Duolingo on my phone, of course, but I've never used this classroom version. Is it their pre-uploaded vocabulary list and games, or you're actually creating the games as well?
No, they're actually pre-uploaded. So we look at it, the English curriculum. Okay, I'm in a class where I don't have anyone signed in. So let me have a look. Okay, here I've got, if I click English curriculum, okay, English for Czech speakers. So basically, I've got the all the units here. So I've got the vocabulary that the students are going to learn, and I've got all the topics. So basically, I can see, okay, animals, plural, okay, so I can possessive adjectives. So basically, I can see clothes. So all the topics, okay, are here. So that's how it works. It's basically the same as the app that you use, but the teacher can assign, assignments, goals, and monitor the progress.
So you can't add to that vocabulary.
You can also add,
list.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't know that one.
Yeah, so it's really nice, actually.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Fisher, for your input. I think it was most interesting, especially for me, whom I don't really like technology that much. So I try to do also different stuff in our classes. But this has been definitely useful for me because I think that I might be using some of that stuff you've showed us. If you don't have any other questions, Mr. Juříček or Sarah, I suggest we move on to the other presentation. We have got here actually some questions which came to the chat, but they have more of a general, they are more general. So I suggest we leave them until later after Mr. Juříček had his presentation so that we can discuss it all together. So if you don't mind, Mr. Juříček, I will hand over to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry for the delay. I got some technical problems.
No problem.
So thank you for welcoming me here. And can you see my screen now? No, you can't. But now you should be able to see it.
Yep,
Yes.
working.
Yes,
Great.
we can.
Thank you. So basically my presentation will be much shorter. But anyway, I was thinking about, because, you know, the time is quite short and I didn't want to go through too many things, and I mainly wanted to share some ideas.
A my máme nějaké technické problémy.
Yes, and okay, great. Yeah, back again. It's great, it's awesome. So I mainly wanted to show few kind of general ideas that everybody can use. Because, for example, you were talking about the Google Apps in the previous presentation, but the thing is that, as like in the Czech Republic, if you want to be using the Google Apps, you should definitely be using the Google Apps for Education that are really like focused on the education, and you actually should not be using the regular apps for the normal teaching. Let's say for schools, you should really have the for schools edition. I'm just saying that because I'm actually teaching teachers about this, so I just feel like it's really important to say that there is the distinction. But anyway, if you are using the Google Apps, you know Google Classroom probably, and I mean, I worked during lockdown. I put all my work in Google Classroom, all the assignments, and the thing is that, you know, I teach English and other subjects, but in English it was always difficult for me during the lockdown period to practice speaking. I was always thinking how to actually practice speaking, how to do that, because, you know, the other skills are quite obvious, but speaking, you know, is quite difficult. So I tried an idea which I think is quite simple, and every one of you can use it and try it. There is an app. If you just type into your search bar, if you type record voice and web, something like record voice, just like that, the first link is called online voice recorder. So I figured that you can actually record your voice online. I will just press the button. It's very simple. As you can see, it's already recording, and then you can just pause it and stop it and save it and send it to your teacher. So what we did with students to practice speaking was, you know, I assigned them a kind of dialogue that they were supposed to make in pairs. You know, there were some criteria like what they are talking about, what grammar they should use, how many exchanges should they use, and so on, or the length of it. And they actually, you know, they can't visit each other, but they can call each other. So they were calling each other through their WhatsApp or Messenger or whatever they are using. They were just having their phones on the speaker, so the computer can record it, and I think the results were very nice, actually very neat. I can show you a recording here, just a very short one. It was a kind of it's funny because it's a kind of tech support subject, and it's like when one person is recording from the speaker, it really sounds like a real tech support conversation. So I appreciated this one. But anyway.
Slyšíme se?
Can you hear me now?
Ano, ale nevím jak ostatní, ale já teda neslyším nic z toho, co pouštíte, takže možná to nefunguje. Okay. Sorry. I can't hear what you are actually recording or playing now.
Yeah, apparently it stopped now, but yeah. It is just the recording. Like, it is just the recording through the Microsoft Teams. Normally it works perfectly, I promise. I swear. So you can definitely try it. I think it's very easy. It's very intuitive for the children, and it's a way how to practice speaking. So that's my just first tip. It's something that I tried and I'm happy about it, so I wanted to share it. Next one, next thing that I wanted to share is focused on listening this time. And it's a very interesting website. It's called Amara, amara.org, O-R-G. And it makes you, it lets you create your own subtitles to any video you upload there, and you can upload or like share a YouTube video to Amara, and then you can create your own subtitles. I will just show you a very like the interface of the app. You just upload a video, you edit the subtitles. You know, we did Czech subtitles to the video, and then you can see a very simple kind of interface that you can operate, and you can just play the video and you type what you hear, you type it here, you type the translation, and then there is a kind of easy system how to put the sentences into correct timing. So when I play the video, I'm not sure if it works again. Here it seems it doesn't, but it does normally. So I just play the video and I put this kind of time marking. You know, those are the subtitles, and this is the time when they actually show on the screen. So it's really very simple, and I think it's very cool, and it like lets the children create their own subtitles, and I think it's a big thing, you know, because they could be the first one, they could be, you know, the first people to actually translate the video, and it can help somebody else who is not so good at English. So it has this kind of purpose, and you know, first time I let the students decide, I let the students choose the video, they have like free choice, but like next time I would specifically aim on some, you know, categories of like educational videos, for example, or something that we will be talking about later, so they can really be useful with their subtitles and translation skills. So, and that's and for the last tip of mine, and it is a bit connected, not much, but like the general idea is that I think that English should be taught not as a kind of, or it can be taught as a separated subject, but it makes more sense to me to teach it in a kind of, you know, like more connected subjects together, or to put English also into different subjects like ITC, for example. So the thing is that I also teach few lessons of ITC, and as I especially like the programming, coding, and robotics, and those ICT subjects are great for the implementation of English language, because, you know, the programming, the coding is inherently in English. And there is one project which is called Hour of Code, and this is a project that really introduces children into the basics of computer programming, of coding, in a very neat, very simple way. And actually, you can choose many languages up here. It even has Czech, so you don't have to do it in English. But what I do is that I totally do it in English, even though it's a Czech class, and you can do it as well. So you choose English, and then it loads. And there are many, as you can see, there are many types of activities that introduce children to coding. It's called Hour of Code because it is supposed to last 1 lesson, 1 hour, but it can definitely last more than that. And as you can see, there are many like famous brands like Minecraft, for example. And so there are even great teacher notes. So there is a whole lesson plan that you can employ. It is like the lesson plan. I'm not going to go into details now, but it's super professional. You can just read it and use it. It's super professional. So you start, it opens, you choose your adventure. There are more than 1 Minecraft adventures, and then you learn coding. There is even like introduction. There are many or few YouTube kind of videos with real programmers and professionals in ICT who explains the principles of programming, and you can choose your character. And now, unfortunately, it is in Czech, and I don't know why it is in Czech now, but maybe it's because my account is in Czech. But you can definitely turn it into English. And the way it works like it's called block programming, like you are programming in different like blocks. And it means that you are using computer language, but you don't have to write it. You just, for example, here you say set like move forward, and you need to move forward 2 times. You start like this, and you need to move forward 2 times to get to the sheep. So you put move forward 2 times here, and it basically, that's the code that you programmed, and then you go run the code, run the simulator, and you get to the sheep. So that was a very simple task, and it can get exceedingly harder and harder. The difficulty really goes up. And so this is, I think it's just perfect. I would highly recommend you to try it. And it doesn't even have to be in English. It can be in any second language. Like there are basically most of the word languages spoken here that are taught as a second language that are here. So you can just choose it and try it. And I think it's amazing, and it really brings some more like purpose into the lesson, because it's really something that they learn, and they are using the language in real life situation. You know, it is not just, you know, a kind of exercise or a game, but it really has its inherent purpose, let's say.
Yes, thank you very much for your input. I actually really find this really interesting, because I think these are the issues that we teachers find hard, how to make learning, whatever it is, English or Czech or math, how do we make it interesting? How do we make it fun? And I think that especially with the languages, to incorporate the languages into some other subjects, it always helps, because then the students have the feeling that we are actually doing here something. We are working on something different, but we are, by the way, also speaking English or using English for these means. So in my opinion, this really is important, and the children are usually quite professional with playing Minecraft and using all various apps. Or doing the videos, for instance, writing the subtitles. So I think this really is fun for kids, and they learn a lot from it. And also, what I find really good about it is that they can present then what they did to the rest of the class, or they can do it online, they can share the files, and that's also how they learn to talk about the project. Does anybody else want to comment on Mr. Juříček's words? Sarah? Nope, sorry. If not, I have here a few questions which came via our online chat. We have here a question: how do you make or prepare lessons for children who don't write and read? Well, I gather that Mr. Fischer and Mr. Juříček are teachers of kids who can read and can write. So you are dealing with older students. I don't know about Sarah. I think, Sarah, you do have students who might not be able to read yet. So do you have any ideas? Do you have any ways how to teach children that small? Anybody?
Well, I use YouTube. It helps me because it's about make English fun for the students. So basically when we're in the classroom, we sing a lot of songs. I bring my instrument also, and play and yeah. So basically I use YouTube a lot because there are a lot of fun, great videos there. So through singing, through music, so connect English and music together. Because I have some, the students in the 3rd grade, they're able to read and write, but when it comes to English, it's really difficult for them, and sometimes that they're still learning how to read and write in their own language. So games, gestures, a lot of gestures. So that's it. Yeah, that's and I read. I pronounce, they pronounce after, so that's how it works in my class.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've worked with children as young as 2 or 3 years old, but that was obviously more in person and hands-on experiences. So the online world, it's a bit more challenging than we would expect. And half of the challenge is to get them to stay in front of the screen. So a lot of it is to be interactive. It sounds strange to be interactive. You're like one with your computer because you have a very personal relationship with your computer at that point. But I think the main difference I see, these kids are online, even first graders, second graders, much what Mr. Fischer was saying, they're learning how to read in their own language. So I really try and steer away from learning how to spell in English because it's a mess. So as long as they're understanding what I want from them, but the biggest challenge is to get them to stay in the call. So it's a matter of, okay, getting creative with your computer, putting it apart, getting them to have little breaks of stand up, exercise. Okay, let's point to something in the room that starts with an R. Okay, why don't you show the group what that is? And using their environment in the lesson, rather than just everyone sitting in front of the computer and doing the same thing every day. Getting them to take their smartphone. One thing I've really tried to challenge myself. I am not maybe so young anymore. So I'm 30, but learning about their technology, rather than restricting this tool, how do we use it wisely? Rather than saying, put your phone away. No, let's take it out. Let's play Kahoot. Let's play something on your phone, or let's show the group, take a picture of, some object and show the group, rather than restricting these things. And I think a lot of the new technology that we've talked about tonight, it's using that to our advantage now.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, play games because kids learn better when they're having fun. And engaging them in games is the best way to teach them English. You know, make flashcards, play games like Pictionary or Scrabble, you know, do crosswords with them. Also, show them picture books, you know, online. Engage in role play also, you know, to perform a famous character. You know, make a story with your favorite cartoon character or superhero and act it out. Yeah, so basically through games, using songs and rhymes, using stories, related comic books. Yeah, using everyday situations. So that's it.
Yeah, well, so it's basically actually what we normally do with the young kids when we see each other face to face. But this time we simply have to rely on the computer to have the conversation. But we do probably the advice here is probably to do the same, to keep it interactive and to keep it as much fun as possible, because otherwise, as Sarah said, the kids just won't sit in front of a computer screen, or they could sit there for 10 minutes, but definitely not for longer times. Yeah, so I think also what I heard here from one of you is use the environment. I think this really is actually a good advice generally, because normally the children are at school or they are at a language school and they are in some place which they know. But now, why don't we take the opportunity of using their own environment, because they are at home, they've got their own pets there, they've got their brothers, sisters, family, their own favorite toys, etc. So there is a lot of things they can actually do online while they are at home. Well, so I hope this question's been answered. So how to prepare lessons for the young ones? Yeah, via games. Then there is another question here. Well, it probably goes to the teachers at grammar schools. Which textbooks do you like for the first and second grade? So we are having a specific question actually about textbooks. Do you have any experience with any good textbooks to use?
Well, Oxford and Cambridge University Press has really good textbooks to use. So basically, there's a wide range that you can use. So I don't know, like, you mean which one's like a better, or?
I don't really, well, the question here written is, what textbooks do you use for the first and second grade? Do you like for the first and second grade? So I think that you have actually answered the question. You suggest Oxford and Cambridge. I have to agree. I don't know what sort of textbooks are you using, Mr. Juříček or Sarah? Probably Oxford, Cambridge.
I've got actually.
Yeah.
We are not using Oxford or Cambridge anymore. Not for the first and second graders. We are still using the Oxford for the up to 4th grade. But from the 5th grade on, we are using bloggers actually, and we are super excited about bloggers because I feel like both Cambridge and Oxford are really like grammar based, and I don't like it. I really don't like it. And I even talked to the like publishers or the people who are like in charge of these nuances, let's say, and they actually said that it is because the teachers want it this way. Like the teachers in general want a lot of grammar, but I strongly disagree with this kind of approach to English as a grammar-based language, because I really think it's not a good approach. But unfortunately, you know, it's the demand. So many English textbooks are, you know, filled with grammar, plenty of grammar, too much of grammar. But the bloggers are, I think, a little bit better. So that's just my choice.
Yeah, thank you. And my question actually to you now is, can you use those books which are not grammar based also for the first and second grade, or are there available books like this or not? Or why are you still using the Oxford ones?
Yeah, the thing is that the bloggers are from the 5th grade. They don't have for younger children. You don't have the books yet for younger children. But to be honest, like I think that the Oxford and Cambridge for the younger learners are quite fine. Actually, the grammar load comes later, I would say. I think we are using Happy Street and Happy House, and I think they are quite fine actually.
Yes, Sarah, are you using any textbooks with your students, or?
I just put the bloggers because I'm not familiar with this one, but I just put it in the chat just in case they don't hear it well or they're not sure how to spell it. I have used for really little kids. I've used Happy House in the past. Generally, children's textbooks, I buy a variety because you're never going to find exactly what you want. I like a lot of visual. I like a lot of, let's say, groups of words, like topic based, and then I create the rest. So I use a textbook more as guidelines to stay within, to color within the lines, if you will, and then I'm part of that's coloring within the lines of the textbook, and I'm coloring outside of the lines. So.
I agree with you, Sarah. Do a similar thing with my students because some of the articles aren't really engaging, aren't fun for the students, and aren't as interesting as other articles you can find online. So basically, our students also order English magazines, so Gate,
I like
Bridge.
those. Yes.
So they're really fun. R&R, Jump. Yeah, so they're really excellent.
I like those, definitely. I like the magazines. That's more of a leisure read, like you can design a lesson off of that. I wouldn't, if you're a parent, I wouldn't just base teaching your children just using the magazines, but something like Happy House, where you have the textbook, you have a workbook, and you can follow and make sure they're hitting those marks. So at least you know that they're learning progressively, but I wouldn't only stick to textbooks because this is just not, it's not progressive enough. Again, that's how I learned when I was a kid because we didn't have the tablets. Yeah, I mean, like my nieces and nephews, they're walking home from school. Half of their homework is in a textbook, and half of their homework are on tablets. So it's definitely, I mean, definitely we need to stay current with the times.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Let's move to another question. There is also, we have had a question here concerned with children who can't read and write, and we have a maybe similar one. How to activate children with special needs, and also restless children, etc., etc. Do you have any experience with children with special needs?
Yes, I mean, as a public school, or like, I don't know if special needs is the correct term, but children with like learning disabilities, and for example, the bloggers textbooks, they have like different sections, and they think about those children as well, which I appreciate. But in general, it is, quite difficult. Like in English, I speak for public schools because I'm a teacher in public school, and so normally we have the English class is divided into halves, which is better. So we have more space for every individual students, and then it is about the like setting the goals properly, let's say. So not everybody need to have the same goals. It's like a general statement about it.
Yeah, well, the question might have been more focused on the online learning now, I think, because probably, yeah, sorry.
It's really good to, the goal is to break learning into small steps. because you're online, and you know it's really difficult for these kind of students that have learning disabilities to actually stay focused. So breaking your lesson into small steps is a good way. They can't handle a 45-minute lesson, or you know, it's like a 20-minute lesson. You know, that's I think maximum. And you have to supply a lot of regular and quality feedback, and also use diagrams, graphics, flashcards, pictures, you know, so they can see, okay, and connect the word with a picture. So that's yeah, how I work with my students that have learning disabilities. But also here we've got teacher assistants that help with you know, with the learning process.
Yes, and the teachers, the assistants still work online nowadays, I suppose.
Exactly.
Are having the same.
Yeah.
Right. For me, my mother works with special ed kids. This is she's a special ed teacher. So she talks a lot about if she doesn't have an assistant and you don't have a parent to help you, she talks a lot about oftentimes her students have trouble, like they're fidgeting. It means they're constantly moving. They need to like tap a pen or, you know, shake their leg, and they can't sit still. So she talks about allowing them to have this fidget object. So whether it's like a pen, as long as they're not making a noise, or whether we have these fidget toys that they can, or maybe a stress ball that they can squeeze, something like allow that to happen, and just make sure that their microphone's on mute, because it doesn't mean they're not listening to you. They just have extra energy that they need to get out. And sitting still on a computer, it's very difficult to do. The other thing I found, I do have an ADHD child in my group. He's very clever, but he oftentimes loses focus, or he interrupts. And so oftentimes I have him lead a discussion, or I have him lead the step or the activity. So if we're supposed to read something, or if we're supposed to quick write the answer or type an answer, I have him do it first. Or I say, you know, how about you split up the groups? So make him more the leader, or the student more the leader, and then they really are more focused and they feel like the special assistant. These are, I guess, let's say 2 ways that I take care of this.
Yes, well, I completely agree. I also teach some children like that, and always giving them a role of doing something that it makes it easier probably for them to concentrate and not to fidget that much.
And also it makes the student feel equal.
Yes.
And you know, and makes them feel welcome.
Definitely. I also teach at a grammar school, and I teach the 3rd and 4th grade. And we've just been discussing the other day with our colleagues, how many applications, how many programs are we actually using for our online lessons? And I've been thinking about this because I remember myself in March, I wanted to try out everything. There were a lot of things to do, a lot of programs to use. And I ended up just sitting in front of a computer all day and trying this, trying that. This worked, this didn't work. And I got lost in it. So now I'm more prepared, I would say. And I try to cut it down a bit, and I just use few of the applications. So that was my question to you. How many applications, how many programs do you use? Because this is also actually concerned with the special needs kids, because the more input you have, the more programs, the more chaos you create, the more lost they are. I am lost, not students only. Everybody's lost. So how do you manage to keep it simple, to cut it down?
I think that's a great point, actually. I think this is really important, and maybe especially for the really active teachers who want to try everything, which is natural for us, I would say, for the teacher who really wants to embrace technology. But I think that the great solution is Google Classroom and all the Google apps that are included in it, and you can really cover 90% of things that you need for the like school administration and the general tasks, and then just choose some gamification app. Let's say it can be Quizzes or Quizlet or Learning App or Kahoot. It can be anything, and you can just really have because you need the platform for the files, let's say, which is, for me, it is the Google Classroom and the Google Apps, and then the gamification app, let's say, and that's, for me, it is Quizzes usually, right? So yeah, and this is really good, important, and it's really good to think about it, not to employ too many of these apps.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. There are tons of apps that you can use. I showed you the ones that I love, but Quizzes, Quizlet, they're also excellent apps as well. But because I don't have a lot of time, and as Jan just said, you know, just keep it simple for the student. And so basically Duolingo for Schools is the app I use. Yeah, for the there are I have a lot of active students. You know, they finish with their assignments early, and then they think, okay, I want something more and more. So I thought, okay, look, the Duolingo for Schools app is excellent. Okay, so you can practice your own pace, your own time. Just okay, use this. And then I send Kahoot quizzes because the students love it and it's fun for them. And live worksheets are great because, you know, they can basically I send them some worksheets to practice, and the learning apps is good for self-paced learning. So basically they can study.
And one more thing maybe that was not mentioned, it is I think it's a great app. It's called Umíme anglicky, or Umimeto. It's umimeto.org. It's a Czech site, and it's great actually. It has Czech language as well. It has English. It has German. I think it has also ICT and other subjects. And the quality of the app and the quality of the content is really high. I really must recommend this one as well.
Sorry, it was umimeto.com or?
I think it's umimeto.org.
Oh, okay, org. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Jan.
But if you go Umimeto or Umíme anglicky, you will find it.
All right.
Yeah, .org.
.org. Okay. And have you also been using a common chat for your in your classes? Because I didn't do that. I had this idea. It was too, I don't know, boring, too simple. But the more now I'm trying this, just to use the common chat that is there and I don't know, Microsoft Teams or Hangouts or Classroom, whatever, because I found it actually, it's easy to use. The students can play a lot of games via chat. There could be some sort of competitions, like you can show them pictures and they can write, I don't know, what can you see in the picture? You've got 10 seconds for it. They can use the chat for talking to each other as well. So do you use chat or do you use any special application?
I use usually, it depends. You can definitely use chat. It depends on the situation. But more often I use some different app that, because I'm afraid, or I got an experience with my particular classes, or maybe some of them, that if something appears in the chat, they would maybe just copy that, and not everyone would get involved. But it really depends on the children and on their skills and motivation. So I usually try to use like Socrative, another app that was not mentioned here, and Socrative lets me actually demand the answer from everybody. So because I think that a really important aspect of teaching in the public school is to really try to employ every single student and to really be aware of that and pay attention to this topic of employment of everybody.
Yeah, well, I agree. You are right that this is actually a problem I sometimes also have to deal with, that they are starting just copying what the other person wrote into the chat, but I've solved it. So I just, like say, okay, you can't write anything. And when I count 1, 2, 3 or whatever, then you send your answers. It is not ideal, but because I teach the kids who are not that skilled using technology, so I'm happy some of them are just second graders, so I'm happy that they type something. They are happy they type something, so it works fine for us actually. I would like to go to the others questions we've got here, and this one might be, I don't know, maybe for Sarah, or if you have any, if the others have any experience with the American education system. There is a question: can you describe foreign language as a subject in American schools? How does it work? I personally don't have any experience with the American schools, so I really can't say anything.
I'm looking at the question now. Wow, okay, that's very specific. My personal opinion, foreign language in a public school system in the United States is very basic. So in comparison to here, by the time you graduate, by the time you do your A-levels or your finishing exams, like finishing secondary school, moving on to uni, our level of second language or first foreign language it would be maybe A2. Yeah, A2, unless the student is really motivated, then they'll probably be A2, B1, something like this, like conversational, not really. I would say I was at a level that you could give a presentation, but let's say it wouldn't be a professional presentation. So the student would really need still extra lessons or some extra personal interest in that, or they would have some, right, they would engage in some community in their that speaks that language in their local community. So versus here, like we're in the European Union here, so pretty common that European Union, those countries, children start mandatory in the 3rd grade with English. Most kids you're seeing now are starting earlier. A lot of parents will pay extra for like English lessons or an English preschool or the 1st grade to have English. And then at the 6th or 7th grade level, they are choosing a second foreign language. So by the time, let's say by the time a Czech child finishes their, let's say by the time they're 18, they're quite fluent in English. And then their second foreign language would be like survival level. They can read a flight plane ticket. They can maybe order some food at a restaurant. They can talk about the weather and how people feel. That would be our level of foreign language in the States.
And do you think that the way of teaching the language actually differs much from what we do here in Europe and what they do in America?
It depends on the country, because I've taught in Germany and in France and now in the Czech Republic. So I think it really depends on the educational system as a whole and what their priorities are, like as an education system. I find in the States, across all subjects, we are more communicative. We want more of a discussion in the classroom, and let's get in small groups or debate topics, or our assignments are more presentational rather than informational. Like, let's memorize information and stuff as much as many facts as we can. So me personally, now that I've been living here for so long, I see this is a huge difference between like a Czech system and American system. I don't think either one are perfect. I think you need more of a combination. So I find, let's say, studying French myself, like we were doing a lot of speaking, but my grammar was awful.
Yeah, in Australia, because I grew up in Australia, the school's there. Basically, it's kind of similar to the American system. We learned a foreign language, Japanese, but at a very basic level. So yeah, you were talking about the American system is kind of a bit similar to the system in Australia.
I think like now that it's really interesting to be here because most European countries, they prefer British English, which is fine with me, but it challenges me as a teacher to use British textbooks because I have to focus on the spelling. But then I also can bring in the element of, okay, this is what we're reading, but maybe you're used to my accent because Hollywood, all the kids watching music videos in Hollywood and whatever. So I, as an American English teacher, I do use the audio guides or the audio practice because British English might be a bigger challenge, or Australian English, it's difficult for them to understand, or Irish or right, Scottish. My gosh, the Scottish is really difficult for me. So, I mean, don't shy away from that, even for native speakers. And maybe Mr. Fisher, maybe you use different accents as well, but definitely I use those listening activities, not outside of the American English.
Well, the students are used to my accent. A lot of Australians kind of, there's a mixture of the language of the words they use. Like you got American English words and British. So basically, it's kind of a mixture. Yeah, but when I'm in the classroom, it's always not good to show the students they're used to my accent, and also it's good to show the students, also other accents, and show them more. Not just to stick with just the British English, textbook kind of way of teaching. No, it's not a good way of doing it, because as you said, that the environment, the students, listening to English, it's basically he's listening to American English most of his time because he's playing games that were designed in America, watching Hollywood movies. So yeah, basically, he's more familiar with the American pronunciation, and then the British.
Yeah, well, sorry to interrupt. I wanted also not to talk only about the accents, but you said in America and Australia, it's quite common for the students to cooperate, to work in small groups and then present what they have learned. And my questions now actually is, how do we do the same thing here online? Is this possible? Because this is something I miss actually teaching online. I normally divide children into groups, they cooperate, they talk about each other, and then they present what they have learned. And I actually haven't found any good application, any good way how to do this online.
Zoom lets you. The Zoom app lets you divide your students into groups. So basically, you make so it's designed for meetings actually, because so you're having a meeting. So basically, you got your students, and you can put them into groups, into pairs, or into group of 4 or 3, and yeah, so they discuss, and then they, you tell them to leave the room. I don't know, in 10 minutes, and then present what they've been talking about, and so they leave the room and they come back to the main room. So that Zoom is good.
Okay.
Also, Google Classroom has it as a paid feature because there is no a new was the GSP for Education. I think it's called Enterprise as well as the business one, and they it is integrated in the Meet, in Google Meet, and you can also do it for free, but it is a little bit more complicated. You can just create more than one rooms in Google Meet, and then just switch between the rooms. And there is a Chrome add-on which you can install actually, and I think it's called somehow like, I can paste it into the chat. It's called somehow like Google Classroom room, or I don't know. I have to find it, but I'm using it. It works. It's a little bit tricky, but it's for free. It's for free now, because Zoom, you have to pay for Zoom. It doesn't. It's like only 1 hour. I think it only lets you talk for 1 hour, and then it cuts you, or you have to start again. So it's only the thing.
Yeah, well, I'm actually using Teams mostly, and I know that they are going to have this feature starting December, I think. So my question was more like, does it work with the students as it does in actual classroom? Do you have an experience with this? Because I haven't tried it, and I want to do that, but I'm not sure it would be the same. So what might be the problems, or do they actually want to do it, or do you have an experience? You don't do?
I mean,
No.
I have not done it with my students. I have been a student in Czech class, and it works very well for us, at least, where we're in a big class, let's say 8 students, and then we're split up into 3 different groups to discuss whatever topic. Then when we come back together, then you say, okay, Sarah, can you present your partner what they said? Again, especially in English, as we know as teachers, to talk in the third person in English is a struggle for a lot of kids. They forget a lot of the endings, and it changes. She eats rather than she eat, right? So I think a lot of it is talking in the third person. So whether you assign that as homework, where they work in pairs and they type to each other, and then they have to present their answers or whatever so-and-so said, or the breakout rooms. I think that will be coming to many apps. It must, otherwise these companies will lose their, they'll lose the competition. Yes,
I saw Mr. Juříček wanted to say something, but I don't know if it's still topical.
Yeah, I just the breakout rooms is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, breakout rooms.
Yeah, all right. And well, I know that, but you are, Sarah, an adult, so it might be different than if you are doing this with children who still might need help, because I'm afraid that the kids will speak Czech actually, not English, and that they will try somehow to say that in English. So I will have to work it out actually. I haven't tried this yet.
But you can definitely try the recording as I tried.
You are right.
I was thinking about just this thing, and the recording was designed for specifically this problem. So
yeah, thank you for the tip. Yeah, a good idea.
Yeah, but it's true, Honza. Yeah, it's you have to purchase the enterprise version of Google for Education, and then it will include the breakout rooms. Yeah, so
we
we'll
will
see.
have to. Yeah, we will see exactly. All right. And I have also, somebody asked me actually, because I'm teaching at the language school, I'm teaching adults as well, I'm teaching small kids, I'm teaching at a grammar school, and we've got. Well, I know a lot of teachers around, and there was a question, which subject is the most difficult to teach online? Because English, all right, you've got a lot of apps. I don't know, math, all right, Czech. Music, dancing, I don't know. So, Sarah, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I definitely would say music. my partner is a professional guitarist, and so obviously he's lost a lot of clients in person. And then to try and teach a beginner student how to hold the guitar, how to press the keys, how, you know, can you zoom in, can you put the guitar closer to the camera, and then half the battle is actually the sound, right? Because if you're doing a rhythm together, it's delayed. So he's really had to up his game as far as the quality of his microphones, where to place them. So the student, I've done a lot of practice calls with him, and so I can hear it very clearly. But of course, the student only has the basic microphone that's offered on the computer. So oftentimes it's clouded, or I don't know how you say that. Like if there's too much noise, the speaker can't pick it up at the same time. So oftentimes he's doing a lot of pre-recorded lessons where he pre-records a song and explains something, and more or less uses the live time to work on other things. So yeah, I think music related or dance related, rhythm related lessons, I think it's a mess.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, because as I said, I teach music school. I'm a professional trumpet player, and it's the same thing. My partner's an opera singer, and it's really difficult, you know, because exactly they've got a normal microphone, and you've got a professional microphone, and you can't hear everything, and so the sound's awful, and yeah. The timing is very different, so so teaching rhythm is very difficult through online lessons. Yeah, but we're managing.
Yeah, so it's generally the arts then. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, that one. Like I don't teach music, but I learn piano. It's quite fine. But like I'm not at the beginning. I think that the worst is like to begin this way. But anyway. I think in terms of, again, public schools, we've got a subject for the 6th graders, which is focused on personal development. Let's say it's focused on the soft skills and discussion. It's something like P4C, like philosophy for children, if you know. And it is really about discussion, about sharing things, about developing solutions to problems through, you know, discussion. And that's like, we can't do that. We don't even try to replace it. We just put more lessons when we open the schools, because it's just not possible to do it.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Fischer, you were talking about pre-recording. Does this work for you as well in normal classes? Do you actually use this pre-recording possibility? Just pre-record, send it to children, they listen, do something, send some feedback to you. Does this work?
Actually, I do. I use I've got a language teaching software from Canada. It's called Robotel. So I use this. So it's my language lab, what we call it here, and it's really good program that I can use to make all kinds of activities, language activities. So yeah, I do. I've been using it for 5 years.
Yeah, thank you.
Basically, I'm in the classroom right now. I'll show it to you. I don't know if you can see it. Basically, the students have, you know, their headphones also. So, and there's the programs there as well. So installed in their computers, and they've got it at home as well. So it's really nice. It's Robotel Smart Class.
Yeah, so it works for you. I'm glad.
Yeah, definitely.
I think other than the language lab, one time I did this, but for one of my more advanced classes in the middle school, high school age, let's say ages, I don't know, 14 to 18 or adults, to create a project, a collaborative project, and either using Google Drive, I use the Google PowerPoints, and then they can put the links within or the recordings within. But actually, I did a podcast, which they really liked. So we picked a topic that you debate on it, and you can start recording. Like I can start the welcoming. Okay, you welcome our guests this evening, and the kids can add the sound effects or add the I don't know, basically other chapters of the discussion, and they can actually meet. They don't have to meet together, but they can record, right? They can record pieces on their own, and then you can edit the project together. So that would be more of a long-term, not really like for a language school. That would be for an in-classroom teacher. You know, if you have a longer-term project to grade or small group project to grade, I think that would be a good way, rather than have them do one more PowerPoint, you can have them do a podcast.
Yes, definitely.
That's great. That's great. The podcasts are great. Actually, I just do screen capturing. I just do like screen recording for the technical subjects, for the ICT mainly. If I want to explain something difficult, or usually they try it first and then I have to explain it. So sometimes I just record it and then upload it to the Google Classroom. So yeah, basically just capturing on my screen while it's very simple actually. I do it in Meet and I just record it and save it and just like that. But the Robotel is very cool actually. It's quite a complex solution. It's quite expensive as well, but it's very, very cool. The Robotel, as Mr. Fischer was talking about.
I'll show it to you quickly if we have time. Do we have time?
One minute? Well, yeah, we are supposed to finish at about past, but there is one more question which I would like to talk about, but we can stay a bit longer. No problem.
Okay, so basically, show it to you how it looks like. So this is the app. Basically, I can make videos. So I make a video and I ask the students some questions, and it gives the students some time to listen and also talk back. So he records his own answers back to me, and then sends the whole activity, and I can evaluate it. So basically, I've got, okay, what extreme sports do you know? And then it gives the student time to answer back. And then, you know, you have a lot of other activities also that you can make with this software. Also, okay, look, grade 6. Okay, you've got some other activities as well. So you can fill in the answers. Also, you know, you can make true or false activities. You can download some videos from YouTube and then design an activity that will suit your student needs. So it's really nice as well. So basically, you know, you've got a lot of activities that you can make. Okay, so maybe what's in the fridge. So the student can record himself and then send the recording back to you. So describe what's in the fridge, use phrases, there is, there are. And okay, so the student has the opportunity to record himself and then sends the recording back, or you can delete the recording and you know, improve and then send the finalized recording back to you. So that's yeah, it's a really cool software.
Yes, thank you. I've just realized that we as a teacher, and yeah, well, the teachers are learning a lot of technology using computers and the apps, but the students too, they don't have to only learn the language or Czech language or I don't know, music, but they have to get quite proficient in using different kind of technology, which is cool. I am fine with this. I think it actually, in my case, I've got 2 kids and they are much better now than they used to be half a year ago. They can switch on the computers and send this and that, show me this. Oh, such a progress. So
well, basically technology is their best friend.
Yeah, maybe too close a friend, I don't know, sometimes. All right, we will have to wrap it up a bit, but there is one last question. I wanted to keep it until the end because I think it's really good question, and the question is, what do you want to keep from online lessons for the future? Because the schools are going to open someday, I'm sure of this. So is there something you would like to keep from the online environment? Yeah, Mr. Juricek?
Let's say I have been using many apps before the lockdown started, but let's say the more regular usage of Google Classroom, that's what I would like to keep, and really to keep the tool live and to post some regular task into the Google Classroom, because I think it's really neat and helpful.
I definitely agree with you, Jan, and also basically I use Kahoot and Duolingo for schools, live worksheets, learning apps. I've been using it, you know, for a couple of years. So basically, I'm going to keep everything, but I'd like to use Google Apps more, definitely.
Thank you.
Same to me. I guess, let's say in a classroom setting, I would use the time wisely for live chat and group discussion, but then I would send them home with something like vocabulary homework, something like Kahoot. One more I really like is Quizlet, which is an app.
Yep.
And you can track their progress. They can play games to test their knowledge, but mainly something like Kahoot or Duolingo, right? Some game vocabulary to make sure they're understanding and just ready to go for the next lesson.
Yeah, thank you. So I see that everybody here would like to keep something from this online environment. The same goes for me. I think that either the Google Classroom or some sort of whiteboard or a blackboard, whatever, some place where the students actually can meet, where they can find their assignments, some stable environment for them, it's always good to have. Thank you very much for attending tonight's meeting. I hope that it brought to some new ideas, that our viewers also learn something that might be helpful for them. I definitely learned a lot, so thank you very much, and have a very good evening, and I hope you will see your students soon face to face. All right, thank you, bye, and good evening.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you very much. Bye.